Hello everyone, my name is Mark. This will be Mark's Movies. This is my first video, so at the moment it's going to be kind of sort of an introduction to me and my love of movies and that sort of thing. So I know a lot of people say they love movies, and I'm no exception. I very much love and enjoy movies, and I love and enjoy all sorts of movies. From thrillers to comedies to dramas to horror movies to Disney movies. I mean, I do have Mickey Mouse on my shirt. To all sorts of things in between and combinations and variations therein. One of the reasons I love movies so much, as a lot of people are, is I love the escape of them, but I also love watching them and seeing great performances and great effects and ideas for movies that I've never seen before, I've never thought about. That's why I have such a large breadth of movies that I love, from normal mainstream to weird movies that you may have never heard of. I want this to be a platform for me to talk about movies that I love, movies that I hope that you'll take a chance on if you've been debating about it, or maybe even hear about a movie you've never heard of before and take a chance on that because you like my suggestions or you like what I said about it. I am 38 years old, which means I was born in 1983. I am, as you see, this is me. No filters or anything. This is what I look like normally. This is what I sound like normally. So trust me, if you don't enjoy if you are like, his voice is a little, I find it difficult sometimes as well. That's the self-deprecation for the day, hopefully. But so this is going to be my chance to talk about movies. So what I mean by that is all sorts of things. I want to critique movies. I go see movies a lot. I go see a lot of movies. Since I do the Regal Unlimited, I go see as many movies as I can. That's not a pitch. I'm not sponsored by them. Hopefully maybe later, but not right now. I go see as many movies as I can. And I love, as I said, all sorts of movies, so I go see a lot of movies. I also love talking about movies. And I love having the interaction and where people talk about movies and just discussing movies. I don't need you to agree with everything I say. I don't need you to like every movie I like. I want you to at least give it a chance, you know? One of the things I dislike are people who are extremes. I don't like people who are like, this is the greatest movie ever all the time, every time they see a movie, nor do I like a person who's the opposite, who's like, oh, this is the worst movie ever. I was like, I mean, I saw that movie. It was not great, but it was fine. I don't like either one of those. And I know online is a great example for people to go extreme. I request a little more nuance than that if I can get it. Another thing is I like free and open communication and conversation about it. And so, like I said, I will try to comment if you comment, and I will also try to bring it up in a future video if I see something that I'm like, oh, that's interesting, we should talk about that. Because I have lots of ideas of where to go with this, and today's just going to be a rundown of several ideas that I had, but not every one of them. This is just going to be a few. So the next step is to basically give you a update of where I'm coming from when I say my love of movies. I'm going to give you my top 5 favorite movies of all time. These movies are not the greatest movies ever made. These movies are not movies like Star Wars or The Shawshank Redemption or Tombstone or, you know, The Godfather, movies that I love equally, but these movies are more personal to me. These movies are movies I grew up with. These movies are movies I love because of multiple reasons. So I'm going to do them quick for you and give you a brief reason as to why I love it so much. Some of them should go without saying. Like number 5, Ghostbusters. What can I say? I grew up in the right time. That movie came out in '84, the year after I was born, and it's just that funny. It's just that good. It's just that interesting. It's a movie I can watch pretty much all the time. Like, not just around Halloween, which I do, but I can watch it any time, especially if I need a good pick-me-up, a good funny movie, a good escape movie. It is well within my reach, and I will gladly watch it anytime. Number 4 is a movie that people hit or miss with. Sorry, I might get distracted. I have two cats that like to mess around. Anyway, number 4 is a movie that people like to sometimes overlook, sometimes ignore. Some people don't even know it exists, which is sad. That movie is Labyrinth. Not Pan's Labyrinth, not Guillermo del Toro's Pan's Labyrinth, but Labyrinth. For those haters out there who may not want to watch it, or people who may not have heard of it, 5 names should clear it up as to why you should watch this movie. There are 5 names. It was written by Terry Jones, who was one of the founding members of Monty Python. If you ever watched Flying Circus, spam, 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 that's him. It was directed by Jim Henson. It is a Jim Henson movie. He directed it. So the man behind the Muppets, the man behind one of the men behind Sesame Street and the Muppets, Jim Henson, the late great Jim Henson. He directed it. It was produced by George Lucas. This was one of the first movies he produced after he finished with Star Wars, the original trilogy. Because this movie came out in, I believe, 86. Maybe 87, actually. I think it was actually 87. Yeah, I think it was 87, because I think the 35th anniversary was this year. Anyway, music. All the songs in this movie were written by Jareth, the Goblin King himself from the movie, David Bowie, who turns in a phenomenally weird, creepy, engaging performance in all of its complexity and simplicity. It's just wonderful. And last but not least, you can't have the movie without the heroine, the lead actress, the woman that, if you don't watch this movie and don't just instantly are wanting her to succeed, not just because I watched this movie for the first time when I was 6, so it's less creepy in that way, but it's still weird to think about because she's like 15 at the time, but Jennifer Connelly. She was a phenomenal young actress. She's a phenomenal actress. She won the Oscar for A Beautiful Mind. She was critically acclaimed for The House of Sand and Fog. She was in Top Gun Maverick recently. I love this woman to death. She is phenomenal, and this is one of her beginnings. This is early on in her career, and I think she's fantastic in it. I had an instant crush when I watched it when I was like 6. That's the reason to watch. Those are the reasons to watch this movie. It is weird and creepy. It is the man who gave us The Dark Crystal, after all, Jim Henson, and Terry Jones and all that. Definitely worth a watch. Number 3, Grease. I'm not a huge fan of musicals. I named off a bunch of genres and types of movies that I like. One type that is inconsistent for me is musicals. I'm not a huge fan. Grease is an exception, even though I do not like West Side Story, which used to throw my family off a lot. They're like, you don't like West Side Story, but you like Grease? I guess it's because it makes more sense for the stakes to be lower and it to be a musical to me. I don't know. That can cause a conversation in the comments, that's fine. But I do enjoy Grease. Mostly for the camaraderie of the guys. Growing up, I didn't have a whole lot of male friends. It's gotten better now. I am kind of an introvert, so it was hard for me to make friends. But I always wanted a group of strong male friends, like in that movie. And as I got older, I got to have that. So it was something to look forward to. Number 2, this is a movie that I entirely expect most people to not know exists. It is a movie called Ladyhawke. This is a romantic, epic fantasy set in a fictional world called Aquila. It stars Rutger Hauer and Michelle Pfeiffer and Matthew Broderick. It came out around the same time as Ferris Bueller's Day Off. This movie is, like I said, an epic romantic fantasy. The basic premise, I don't want to go too much into detail because there's a lot of fun stuff in this movie, including another early performance by Alfred Molina, who's also in the movie. But this movie is about two lovers who are discovered by the Bishop of Aquila, who sells his soul to the devil to curse them. So by day, one of them is always a hawk, and the other one a man. And by night, the man is a wolf, and the woman is a woman. She's Michelle Pfeiffer, and Rutger Hauer is the man by day. Um, it's just an entirely incredibly enjoyable movie. I can't help but love it. I really can't. Matthew Broderick is wonderful, and he's very engaging and entertaining. It's like I said, it's just great. I do very much love that movie. And last but not least, my number one, my greatest movie of all time, my favorite, Jurassic Park. Again, that's a movie I feel like don't need to go into too many details. Suffice it to say, when I was a kid, I wanted to be a paleontologist. And when adults would ask, I would tell them that, and they would go, "What's that?" And I'd have to explain, but after Jurassic Park came out, I never had to explain it again. So, that's that. All right. So, next, I'm going to do a quick movie review. None of these should ever be very long. I might go into details more frequently, but most of the time these shouldn't be a very long movie review because I don't want to spoil anything. And the movie I'm going to review real quick is a movie called The Black Phone, which came out a few months ago at this point. The movie is great. It is not a horror movie. It is promoted a lot as a horror movie. There's some creepy elements to it, but I would more describe it as like a suspense thriller, maybe with a little bit of psychological elements to it. The movie was directed by Scott Derrickson, the man who gave us Doctor Strange and who gave us Sinister, and even The Exorcism of Emily Rose back in like 2005. It was written by Joe Hill, who is the son of Stephen King, who also gave us the movie Horns, and apparently was the guy behind Lock and Key, the graphic novel Lock and Key. I didn't realize that, but that was fascinating to learn recently. But the 3 stars of this movie are the reason to watch it. Ethan Hawke is the one wildly promoted in the material, and he should be. Ethan Hawke is phenomenal as the grabber, who is the serial kidnapper running this, scaring the children in this town and the parents. And then you have the 2 main children, the brother and sister, Finney and Gwen. Finney is played by Mason Thames, who's an up-and-coming young actor who honestly hasn't been in a whole lot, but if this movie is any indication, I don't foresee him stopping as long as, everything goes well. He's very good. And then his sister Gwen is played by Madeline McGraw, who was in Secrets of Sulphur Springs, which was a Disney Channel as a Disney Plus show that was highly addictive. I haven't started the 2nd season yet because I know that when I do, I'm not going to stop watching it. I'll be watching it till it's done. She steals this show. I cannot stress it enough. The movie is about the life of this brother and sister living in this world, slowly building up the tension and suspense of what's going to happen. If you've seen the trailer, you know he gets taken, but the movie ratchets up the suspense and the tension, and you see his life and how it is, because this movie is a character study about this brother and sister and their bond, this unbreakable bond of siblings. And I have a very close bond with my siblings, so it was a nice moving part of this psychological thriller that was equal parts creepy as it was funny at times. I highly recommend it. I'm going to give ratings out of 10. In this movie, I would give about a 7.5, to be honest. I do very much like this movie. I would also like to spotlight older movies that you may not have heard of, that you might be interested in watching. Up until today, I was going to talk about another movie, but I saw this movie on Hulu, and I thought I should definitely talk about this one instead because I love this movie. It's a movie called Unstoppable. Now, Unstoppable was directed by the late, great Tony Scott, the man behind Top Gun and so many other films. But the 3 leads and the premise are the reason to watch it. It's only about an hour and a half long, and it's about a runaway train in Pennsylvania and all of the people trying to get it safely stopped and not to cause a whole lot of damage. The supporting cast is a phenomenal group of character actors, from Kevin Dunn from Veep to Ethan Suplee from My Name is Earl and Remember the Titans to Kevin Chamberlain from She's Out of My League to, like I said, there's a lot. But the 3 leads are the reason you want to watch this movie, I promise. You got Chris Pine, you got Denzel Washington, and you got Rosario Dawson. And all three of them put in an incredibly phenomenal performance. I can't stress it enough. All three are great, and they are well worth watching. I hope you watch that movie. I would give that movie about a 7. Because it is only an hour and a half long. I feel like they did themselves a service by making it about an hour and a half. If it had been longer, it would have seemed a little hokier and a little too much. It is loosely based. It says inspired by a true story. It's one of those movies. It's based on, I think it's like 3 different runaway train scenarios in Ohio and Pennsylvania. But like I said, the reason you want to watch the movie is it's intense. It doesn't really let go once it starts. And Rosario Dawson, Denzel Washington, and Chris Pine are just phenomenal. They are great. They're at the top of their game. All 3 of them are recognizable actors. But the 3 of them, their performances are so good, you forget you're watching legends. You're just watching these 3 people live in this world and do this job and try to save the day. All 3 of them are great. Can't recommend it enough. All right. I wanted this to be around 15 minutes long, 20 at the most. Last but not least, one of the things I would do is also maybe do like a ranking where I would take a series of movies or a type of movie, like say the James Bond movies or Star Wars movies or the Avengers movies or Alien movies, and I would rank them. And I'd try to be as objective as possible. I don't have a whole lot of time left, but that shouldn't be a problem because the 4 movies that I'm going to rank, there shouldn't be much debate about. They are the Avengers movies, the 4 Avengers movies. So I feel like most people would agree with what the worst one was, and by worst I mean not quite as good as the other 3. I think it's distinct as Age of Ultron, and I think it's just because there was so much going on, and it was in the middle of a change in phase 2 where they were trying to start and introduce and explain and all these different things. And I just think they just had so many balls in the air that they did their best with trying to make that movie as solid as it is. So I think it's 4. And number 1 is easily Infinity War. I think it barely ekes out number 2, which is Endgame. And I think those 2 are pretty distinct. And I think Infinity War barely ekes out Endgame because Infinity War has that Empire Strikes Back thing going for it, where it ends on the slight downer note and you should have gone for the head, that sort of thing. Endgame, I think it's definitely better than the Avengers, even though I do love the original Avengers movie, because there's just so many payoffs in this movie. Endgame has so many payoffs, so many moments of like fan service, but it's done well and it's done right, including the point where Mjolnir is finally picked up by Cap. Spoiler alert. I feel like most people know that by now. If you don't know that, sorry. But they've been hinting at it for a while, but it finally happens, and there's a lot of great moments to come after that. A lot of there's a great fight scenes, the whole 9 yards, but I think Infinity War is tops. Endgame is just below. I think on IMDb it's like 8.6 and 8.5, or maybe they're both 8.6, something like that. And then the Avengers is 8. I would agree with all of those rankings on my ranking system, but I would disagree with Age of Ultron. I think it's more of like a 7.2, 7.3. So that's my rankings. I don't think there's much of a debate. I think that's a good solid ranking. If you disagree, by all means, let me know what you think. This is my first time doing any of these videos, so hopefully this all goes well. I'm going to be posting this, and hopefully the subscribe button will work. If not, I'll keep messing with it to try to get it to work. But please like and comment, dislike and comment if you want to. But like I said, if you're super negative and mean, I'm just going to block you. I don't have time for that. All right, that's part of what I'm going to do. Hopefully we'll start getting into where more of you are engaged in this, and we can start like having like full-on discussions of like the history of horror movies or how different movies changed the game, but at the moment, that's a good starting point, I think, and I hope y'all enjoyed it. I really do. I really hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And hopefully I'll have another one out to you in a week. Thank you so much. Bye.